Hey everyone, in this video we're going to do a walkthrough of the Game of Tag homework assignment. So in a previous assignment you created a user input program, so you can either open that up if you have it saved, or if you can't find your program, remix my version. So make sure that you hit remix and then save as a copy. Since this is my actual program, I need to save it as a copy. This is what you'll do if you open your own. Hit File, Save as Copy, and we're going to give this program the new name of Game of Tag. And hit Share to make sure I can see it later. Okay, so now we have our setup. Let's see inside. The first thing that we're going to do is just edit this comment. So we're going to put our name and then today's date. It is, I think, the 8th. All right. Once we have our setup, let's go to step 1. We're going to add a mouse sprite. So we're going to add a new sprite to our program. This sprite will move around the screen on its own while the first sprite tries to catch it. So since we have Scratch the Cat as our first sprite, we'll go ahead and add a mouse as our second sprite. So let's go to down here, choose a sprite. We can type search mouse in this search bar here, or we could also click animals to see what animals there are. I'm going to go ahead and search for mouse. There we go. So our mouse sprite should appear right here next to our cat. There we are. Okay, so the mouse is a little bit big, so one thing I might want to do is adjust his size. So I'm going to go over to looks, the looks blocks, and let's set the size. Let's make him half of his size right now. Let's set the size to 50%, click. There, now we have a little tiny mouse that can roam around the screen. Step 1, check. Step 2. So our current program has variables name and age. We don't need those for this program, so we can go ahead and delete those two variables by right-clicking on the variable name and choosing delete variable. Okay, so let's go in and delete the name and age variables. Well, we don't see them here because they were not under mouse, but they were under the cat sprite. And yeah, so remember this program originally asked for like, what's your name? And then said, hello, nice to meet you. And it stored the name in the name variable. Well, we don't need that anymore. So let's go to variables. And then up here, I'm going to right click on the name variable and delete the name variable. If you have any other variables, go ahead and delete them as well. And then they should completely disappear from our code. So we don't have the age variable, so we are now good to go. Okay. So currently the code dictates how fast the sprite moves. It does that right down here. It says if you press the up, the down, the left, or the right arrow keys, it's going to move. So actually, if I press and hold, you can see how fast it moves. It's moving 10 steps per press, basically. And what we're saying is, instead of having the speed be the same for every game, we can vary or change the sprite speed according to the user input. So we're going to let the user decide what the speed should be. In order to do that, we're going to create a new variable called speed. So let's go make a variable called speed. And here are the instructions if you want to read them to yourself. So we're going to go make a variable, speed is the name. And before you click anything, let's read carefully. It says, we want each sprite to have its own speed. So the cat will have a speed and the mouse will have a speed. So make sure that the button for this sprite only is selected. And then we're going to create one speed variable for each character. So we're going to make this speed only for this sprite. Okay. So that's sprite 1's speed. And then the mouse will make its own variable called speed as well. And for this sprite only, make sure that that's checked. And so now we have a speed for the mouse and a speed for the sprite 1. I'm going to go ahead and rename sprite 1 to be cat, because I like it better if it says cat speed, and instead of mouse 1, I'm just going to call this mouse. Much better. Okay. What would happen? All right. So what would happen if for all sprites was selected instead of for this sprite only? Well, then if we set the speed, it would affect both characters' speeds instead of letting them each have their own independent speed. All right, so we used some meaningful variable names. I changed them to cat and mouse, and we have speed as well. Now, for the first sprite, we want to change the move 10 steps blocks to now use the speed variable. So coming back here to the first sprite, instead of moving 10 steps when I hit the up arrow, I want to move speed steps, whatever speed happens to be. And we will also make that the same speed for all of the directions. Up, down, right, and left. So now instead of moving 10 units, if you notice now, if I click up and I click left and I click right, it's actually moving 0 units because speed is currently set to 0 for the cat. That's going to change soon, but for now, we've adjusted that. So we've dragged variables tab into the slot that said move 10 before. Now it says move speed steps. Okay. We still haven't initialized the value of speed. Like I said, it's at 0 right now, so let's do that now. We're going to add these blocks to our first sprite right after the when green flag clicked code blocks. So we're going to say enter a speed for the cat, then we're going to wait for the user to enter a speed, and then we're going to set or initialize our speed variable to whatever their answer is. Let's do that now. So when the green flag is clicked, we want our cat to go to the middle, point in a direction. And now instead of saying, hello, I'm Scratch, let's get rid of this. I just want to say, enter cat speed. That will be the question. So once again, it was enter a speed for the cat. And wait. Now, so if I actually click the program, enter speed for the cat, great. If I hit 10 and I hit enter, nothing happens. The speed, notice, didn't become 10. Again, enter speed for the cat, 5. Again, cat speed is not being updated. That's because we need to actually store the answer in the variable. So let's set our variable. Let's actually update speed to whatever was the answer that they gave, which was 10, and the second time I did it, it was 5. Now if we run the program, 5, speed has been updated. So the answer that they typed in, that I just typed in, has been set to the speed variable. Test your code, make sure it works. Okay, let's test our code. So now that we've set the speed, if I hit the up arrow and the left arrow, it's actually moving at a slightly slower speed than before because now we're at 5 instead of 10. Let's run it one more time. This time let me make it like 40. So it should go really fast if the speed is 40. And it's going, yeah, it's taking much bigger steps. So that's pretty cool. It works. Next, we're going to add some blocks to our second sprite. So we want to make so that the second sprite also asks for a speed value and then use that speed to move the sprite around the stage randomly. So make sure to create a when green flag clicked. I'll start us off, but for the rest of this, I want you to use steps 3 and 4 to try it on your own. But let's see if we can set up the mouse together, and then I'll leave you guys to finish the rest. So when the green flag is clicked, we probably also want to, well, let's not take him to the middle of the stage, because then the cat and the mouse will be on top of each other. Instead, let's let the mouse go to a random, is there a, I was going to say, let's let the mouse go to a random position. There we go. All right. Then we're going to also ask, set a speed for the mouse. And like we did before, but this time with the mouse speed, let's go to variable, and we'll set the speed that is for this sprite only, for the mouse, to the answer that they type in. Okay, and then it's going to use that speed to move around randomly. So I'll let you guys finish, because here is the hint for how to get the mouse to move randomly around the screen. The forever is so that it keeps moving. The turn is so that it picks a direction, and then we're going to have it move at whatever speed was set. Don't forget the if on edge bounce. That makes sure that our mouse doesn't get stuck in the edge. It actually bounces off and keeps moving around. Lastly, you're going to add a broadcast message so that if our cat hits the mouse, it should say something like, "Oh no," and then the game can end. So go ahead and finish steps 3 and 4, but that should get you started.